And on this episode of the Fallout Shelter, I'm talking with that guy right there, three-time All-American, Ivan McClay. Stay tuned. And we're live, coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere in Northeast Ohio. I'm Josh McClay, a.k.a. Omally. That's Ivan McClay, three-time NCAA All-American. And this is an episode of the Fallout Shelter. This is a episode that is 18 years in the making. So
It's been a minute.
it's been a minute. So at the beginning of each show, we do a light episode.
Okay.
So first question, Bigfoot or no Bigfoot? And why?
Bigfoot. I would say no. I thought about this a couple times, and my rationale that I got to was at some point there may have been something people considered Bigfoot, but like since then that species has died off. Like there is not like a man walking around with big feet, drawing cave paintings. It was just like an animal that died off.
Okay. And light option number 2, I want you to take a look at that monitor right there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Let me bring this up real quick.
Since then that species has died off. Like there is not like a man.
We have this right here. This is circa 2000.
2000. That would have to have been like my second year, maybe first.
This you're in a black singlet that's slightly modified. This would have been Coach Lucas was the head coach. And you were in pool 1. You had to wrestle 2 years as an all-star to make the lowest weight class. You were 39 pounds.
Yeah, that was tiny.
So this is light topic number 1, and this would have been your first pin.
I wish I would have remembered it. That's awesome.
But
What, I got a half?
huh?
Am I just laying on him?
Yeah,
He's just
you
taking
got,
it?
yeah, you got him rolled, and he's you got to remember if you look at some of the footage from back then, the moves were very, very basic.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, that would have been the camera was actually one of those, I don't know, disposable things that you buy in a store.
Oh, like the little Kodaks, you like
Right.
wind it up, takes a flash, has 10 pictures, and you got to go to Walmart, get them developed.
Right. That's it. So that's light number 1. But on to serious note, I'm gonna wait. First, I'm gonna bring up a phone number. At the end of the show, we're gonna take calls, and if people have questions along the way, they can text 330-809-1924, and you can talk to Ivan. Tell him, hey, how you doing? Tell him you look funny, whatever.
I get that a lot. Don't worry. You won't hurt my feelings.
And but that's the number. You can send those texts in now, and then I'll open up the phone for calls at the end. So, but on to a serious topic. I want to read off some accomplishments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to go year by year and then sort of recap it. When you were in the 4th grade, you took 6th place at the state tournament.
I remember that. I was upset if I remember right.
Uh-huh.
I was 6th place. It was my first time at the tournament. First time place, and then I was still upset.
Right.
You guys were all happy, and it made me more mad that you guys were happy that I got 6. I remember being so upset.
The second year, you runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th grade, you won it.
Yeah.
7th grade, you took 3rd. 8th grade, you took 3rd. Freshman year, you didn't place.
Yep.
Didn't make it past district. That
Nice
was the year.
piece of humble pie.
Well, that, and I don't know if you remember, Corey Mines was in that district up at Menor. He was a senior that was making 112. I mean, there
I
was,
remember Corey.
yeah. Um, you redshirted your first year in college.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, rewind that. Sophomore year, you took third at the state tournament.
Third.
Junior, you took third.
Third.
You won it your senior year, right? Moving forward to college, you redshirted your first year.
Mm-hmm.
Second year, you took seventh.
Mm-hmm.
Third year, you was banged up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, you won it.
Mm-hmm.
This year, you took third.
Yep.
So in all, you're an 8-time state placer, 2-time state champion. You actually have 4 national titles. One in college, one in 6th grade, 7th, and 8th down at Tournament of Champions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 3-time All-American, 3-time academic All-American. So, heck, what was I going to say? Oh, with all the accolades, which level of wrestling was the hardest for you to adjust to?
I would say college, and the reason why is because like you build up all the way up until high school, and like my last year of high school, I was the best. I won states.
Right.
So the hardest adjustment most people make going into college is being the best on their team, being the man on campus, and then going to college in your first year, you're gonna get your butt kicked.
Right.
No one is good their freshman year, and a lot of people can't handle that. I mean, not only are you going to redshirt, you're going to be wrestling, practicing, being miserable every day, and not working towards a direct goal that year. It's like maybe I'll start next year, but right now I'm just miserable,
Right.
and I'm getting my butt kicked. A lot of people can't handle that.
Right.
So I would say definitely the transition high school to college.
Okay.
Not to mention all extra freedom and stuff. No one makes you go to practice.
Right. Gotcha. Apparently the dogs think so too. So, with that, going to college and making it to that level where pretty much everybody that wrestles in college is a state placer or state champion. How long does it take you to get, one, mentally fit enough to wrestle like that, and 2, physically fit? Because if let's say with you, you started college young. There are some kids, their first year of college, they're 19, right? So if they redshirt, they're 24. So if you have a 24-year-old and you were young starting college at 18, there's a 6-year difference.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell when you're on the mat. The older guys, they always got old man strength. They'll toss you around, big brother you all the time.
Right.
How long does it take to physically get prepared for college? I'd say after your first year, most people, they get their butt kicked the whole year.
Right.
They don't realize they're getting better. And then after they take a break, they go back to their high school, whatever. The next thing you know, they're kicking their own teams, but even more than they were before.
Right.
They're doing things when they go back home that they realize that they weren't able to do before. Then when you come back, your body's more adjusted to those workouts and you're more ready. So the second year you're in college, most people, that's when they start to excel.
Right.
Mentally, though, I would say it depends on a person. The biggest factor, I would think, is the freedom you get in college.
Right.
No one's telling you to go to practice. No one's telling you to go to class. No one's telling you the responsibilities you have and you have to do them.
Right.
So a lot of people, I want to say a lot of people, there are people out there who can't handle that freedom and succeed.
Right.
At least not that early. So just depends on the individual. I was just happened to be fortunate enough to be on track, ready to go the first semester.
Right.
Some people take a year, some people take a couple years.
Right. With wrestling for that long, is there a match that sticks out in your head where you thought to yourself, why am I doing this? There's probably a different sport for me.
Not the matches, no. The matches, usually when you're out there, you're just thinking about what you're doing, what you can do to improve your chances of winning, strategies, this and that. I would say the moments you think, why did I pick this sport, are usually the night before a weigh-in.
Right.
So one night in particular, I was like 7 pounds overweight the day before a tournament. 7 pounds. I'm 125, so that's like a good portion of my body.
Right.
Um, I made weight, but like the night I was cutting, I was miserable the whole time. I just wanted to quit. Then the next morning, you don't weigh in until like 12 in the afternoon.
Right.
So you get up at a reasonable time, 8, 10, something like that, and you got a couple hours before you can actually eat.
Right.
So the whole time you're just thinking like, if I just blow weight, drink a gallon of water,
Right.
what does it matter?
Right.
And I remember that time, and specifically that 7 pound cut. It was for a match that did not matter. We were gonna crush the team. Like everyone knew we were gonna win
Right.
as a team.
Right.
The backup, he could have easily beat the kid I wrestled.
Right.
But coach wanted to make a point and make me wrestle.
Right.
So the whole time I'm like, I don't even need to wrestle. I don't need to do this. I can quit. I can not do this.
Right.
So that's the hard part. The time.
I was going to say, I remember a time in particular, and I believe it was before the Menor District.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose we can talk about it now because you're not in high school, because I don't think you're really supposed to do it. We were in the sauna down at the Y,
Mm-hmm.
and you were trying to get that last. I don't think it was much more than a pound,
Mm-hmm.
but me personally,
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
when he would be getting ready for state, I was beginning my cycling season, so I was already beat down when we got in there, because there's a second part to this story you might not know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really starting to, like, things are getting real. I don't know if anybody's ever spent time in a sauna. It's not fun.
It's supposed to be therapeutic. If you use it how it's intended,
Right.
it's supposed to be therapeutic. We tend not to do that.
Right. So Ivan says to me, he goes, "Man, this just sucks." But there was some other words in there. And I said, "Ivan, I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it." Right? Some things happened after that. He makes weight, goes up to the Menor District, and I want to say it was your senior year,
Mm-hmm.
because that was, you had the high ankle sprain thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway,
I still got a high ankle sprain.
so, but it worked,
Mm-hmm.
and was it worth it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's the only reason why I haven't quit. If it afterwards, if I wasn't worth it, if it wasn't worth it,
Right.
I would have quit a while ago.
Right.
It's the fact that you sacrifice so much, you live a Spartan life, you do all this stuff, see all your friends doing other things you want to be a part of, but you can't.
Right.
That all just adds to the satisfaction, the reward afterwards, after you're completed whatever you're going for. And you can just sit back. Once you get to eat again,
Right.
then you're not angry, you're not hangry.
You feel normal?
You feel normal, you just sit back in satisfaction.
Right. The second side to that story is, especially early in the season, I suffer from Charlie horses like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep for a couple days afterwards without my calves cramping up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, where you don't sweat that easy, I walk a flight of steps and I'll break out into sweat. So when we left the sauna that day, I was really, really thin. And the Charlie horses come, and in my head I'm thinking, man, holy cow, I wonder if he's awake right now, because I'm hurting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Did you cramp like that after hard cuts?
Yes. Yeah, but through trial and error, you figure out little tips and tricks to keep the cramps from coming. Mm-hmm. To keep your muscles loose, to keep them from tensing up. Because a lot of times when you're cutting weight, all your muscles start to tense up. They don't have as much water. So that being so tense keeps you from sleeping. So I got in the habit of stretching all the time. Stretching does wonders.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everyone, all the freshmen, since I'm the old man on campus now, I tell them stretching is the key to youth. But stretching, eating certain things. Now, being a wrestler, you can't eat a lot, so you got to make it count. I learned like a packet of mustard has enough in it to keep you from cramping. Half a potato does more for you than a banana.
Right.
That kind of thing. And then when I'm sleeping, like especially after a hard cut, I'll keep my feet off the bed. So my feet will actually be hanging off the bed. fully extending my calves, so they're
They're not
at the
under
most
load.
stretched
Right.
position they can be. So it helps a lot.
Huh. I'm gonna have to remember that because actually I found a supplement through um, Advocare. It's called Nighttime Recovery.
Mhm.
Man, it's like God was thinking about me when He made that because when I take it, I don't get any.
Mhm.
I mean, whatever is in that, I'm not getting in my diet,
Mhm.
and I've played with almost all of it, and whatever I'm not getting right is in that, and it works. So I sort of cut to the chase. Um, so with talk about what you went to school for outside of wrestling. What exactly are your plans as far as a career after wrestling?
um, Originally, I went to Notre Dame as an accounting major. I learned real quick that's not for me. Took me one semester. Then I changed my major to education, history. I want to be a history teacher. I wanted to be a coach, really.
Right,
So easiest way to do that is to be a teacher.
right,
So changed my major, went through that, did a couple field experiences, realized that like I actually do like the major. So that's good.
right,
Um, Progressed through the years, and I was actually taking enough classes to graduate early, but my scholarship lasts 5 years, so I'm going to use all of it.
right.
So I picked up a second major, special ed.
Okay,
I'm finishing that right now. I already have my history degree, but I'm finishing a special ed one. After this year, my plan is to go back to Notre Dame as a GA, a graduate assistant.
okay,
Coach the team, and in exchange, they'll pay for like my schooling, my housing, all that good stuff.
right,
Pretty much what I would spend the money on, anyways.
right,
So after that, I'm gonna try to apply for some programs to teach overseas, maybe for a year or two.
right.
I tried this year, but I applied too late, didn't get the position, so I'm gonna try again after my GA position.
Also, you can still do that.
You can apply yearly, yes, and there's lots of different programs and corporations that do it, nonprofits.
Okay,
So I'm gonna just start blasting all of them
right.
with resumes, see where it gets me. I wanted the two countries I want to go to are Japan and Spain.
Yeah, Spain is highly recommended. I've been there.
Mhm.
It's nice. You'll enjoy it. Make sure that like I spent 3 years in Europe when I was in the military.
Mhm.
I have a handful of pictures, and that's my biggest regret. So if you get there, see as much as you can, take as many pictures as you can, because as you get older, that kind of stuff
Fades.
kind of fades off a little
Yeah.
bit. So, um, with uh, going back to coaching,
Mhm.
are you looking to be a high school coach, a youth coach? What coach?
Um,
What level?
I'm not sure yet. Like all the levels have their own benefits and shortcomings.
Right,
Youth coach, you get to work with them young and you get to build the base. High school coach, that's where it's, I would say, most rewarding. You get to see state champs, you get to see kids go to college.
right,
College kids, everyone you're going to work with is a good wrestler. You don't have to worry about messing with first year wrestlers, trying to teach how to wrestle before you can teach how to be good at wrestling.
right.
You just focus on perfection and skill.
Okay,
I'm not sure which level I want to do. Most likely, I'm probably going to be a high school coach. Am I going to stay in that? I don't know.
right.
I might just transfer to a college position. I might not. It depends how I like it, really.
Okay.
Only time will tell.
Um, there were, I believe it was, I don't know, are you allowed to say that?
What?
The position you were offered with Kobe?
I wouldn't. No.
Okay. Anyway,
Don't wanna put anyone out there.
right. So, uh, going back to uh, the coaching, um, you have done clubs and camps
Mhm.
and whatnot. Is there any person right now, let's at any age coming up through high school,
Mhm.
that you see that and they've got it? You can see it.
Uh, yes. There was this one kid. He reminded me a lot like myself. I don't know his name. Can't remember it. but he was just a small little kid, scrappy,
Right.
real funky. He just rolls around. He just loves the sport.
Right.
I saw him and I was just like, he's gonna be something.
Right.
Like he's already doing better than me than I was at that age. So if he sticks with a sport, he wrestles for Fairless. He's a little
Oh,
guy, but if he sticks with it, he's definitely gonna be like the next state champ.
the next guy.
He's gonna be the next big shot.
Um. So, uh, there was a camp
hmm
with Harry Lester.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the when Tom was up on Wales Road. Um, somebody like Harry Lester, how do you see you taking a path like that past college wrestling?
I've been told by all my coaches, Lauren. I've been told by a lot of people I'd be good in freestyle.
Yeah,
I'm just my style of wrestling. I'm not good on top,
right,
not good on bottom. I'm good on my feet. That's complements international wrestling.
right,
So right now, at this very moment, I do not want to wrestle anymore.
right. But
I'm sick of cutting weight. I just want to be fat and happy.
right,
But I'm assuming I'm probably going to start missing wrestling eventually.
right.
So I'll give it some time. I might start considering an international career. But right now, I'm just taking a break.
Well, that and uh, the there's a I don't know what you would even call it where the wrestlers leave their shoes out at the mat. Is that like a tradition? What is that
Yeah.
what you'd want to call it? When a wrestler's done, they leave their shoes.
hmm
Um, but that didn't happen, and that's why I asked because like I know like there's been 3 or 4 rides I've been on, and I got off my bike and I said I am not getting back on that bike ever. I won't do it. And for a very brief period of time, I didn't.
hmm
I mean, most of the time it's a couple days. But once you lock your brain into, I am not doing that again. Uh, sometimes it's tough to shake, but I didn't see anything like that, so that's why I kind of had to ask. Um, because a lot of people, like Tim and Jay,
hmm
you know, is it over? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it really over?
Is there a
Because
part two?
yeah, because even myself, um, other than the first 5 years of your life, you've been a wrestler.
hmm
You know that there's some longevity there. Um, but I'm going to use that as a little uh, segue into my next question. Um, you've spent 18 years wrestling.
Yeah. Most of my life.
Right. There are people out there that are adults that haven't put 18 years into anything.
hmm
How do you see using that? I don't. It's past dedication. Dedications to me. When I see somebody that's dedicated, they reach a goal and then it's done.
hmm
But
It's an obsession.
it right. Um, how do you can you equate that to things that you want to do in the future? Can you see anything in your future that you want to put 18 years into?
Ooh. Um, I don't know if it's 18 years, but my long-term goal is to eventually get my doctorates. In
Right.
what? I don't know. But my goal is to do it before I want to say like 35.
Okay.
So counting my undergrad, my master's, and all that starts adding up. And since my freshman year, I've been working, doing as many classes as I can, take an extra here and there, just to work towards that doctorate degree that I might get
Right.
10 years down the road.
So that's what I have. Those are the questions I have. Um, what we're gonna turn this around a little bit.
hmm
Let's say you're a wrestling dad, right? Just starting off, just fresh.
Right?
I'm at the tail end, right? The wrestling dad is, for all intents and purposes, it's done now,
hmm
right? What would you ask?
Um, So I'm the new dad.
Yeah.
Should First question would probably be, should I have my kid like lift? Should I have my kid cut weight? Like, what should my kid be eating? Pretty much, how should I help my kid train?
All right. And I can answer that one actually. And the answer to this didn't happen overnight. It kind of fell into place almost by accident.
Mhm.
Most of the diet that you had was just a modified version of what I used for cycling.
Mhm.
So it was kind of, I don't want to say it was easy because, um, like, where if you do a gluten free, it works really well.
Mhm.
If I do gluten free, it, I don't want to say it's a waste of time. It doesn't have the same effect, right? So, um, I would say no on the cutting weight until the seventh grade.
I agree.
And the reason I say that is because the first time that you actually cut weight, I'm not talking about
A diet.
skipping breakfast. So you're because like if when you were wrestling up at Northwest in youth,
Mhm.
you were in the 58-pound weight class. It was you could almost set a watch to it. You were going to wake up in the morning at about 57.5 pounds, right? So you just don't eat breakfast until after you weigh in, right? To me, I don't consider that cutting weight.
Yeah.
So doing that, that's fine. I think the diet would be way more important. Um, I don't, and you have this fascination with sugar that most people
Yeah. I'm
don't have,
starting to lose it, but
right?
yeah, for sure.
I would say that would be a far better direction
Mhm.
because, um, well, and without mentioning names, there were some really, really talented kids that you wrestled with coming up through high school.
Yes.
They didn't finish college. Some of them didn't go to college.
Mhm.
And if they did, it was brief. And I'm going to say parts of that cutting process may have contributed to that. I mean,
Mhm.
let's face it, the cert, you have to eat to live, and when it's constantly the center of attention and you're constantly manipulating your weight,
Mhm.
um, I'm sure that would get old.
100%.
The lifting weights, I'm a big, even now, um, like if you listen to the cycling blog, I have what I call a base:
Mhm.
62 push-ups, 90 crunches, 75 body weight squats.
My 62. That's such a weird number.
The first 22 are for veterans with PTSD that killed themselves. So instead of doing 60, the first set's 22 instead of 20. Anyway, but everything's in 3 sets. I do that every day.
Mhm.
And as you get older, you'll you'll have days where sometimes that's challenging,
Yeah.
but you always have something to gauge. Okay, how far off the mark am I?
Mhm.
But with body weight type exercises, pull-ups are another good one. Um, if I had a place to do those, I would. Pull-ups are hard, not because you're not strong enough, but because
Mhm.
of the coordination it takes and the muscles you don't realize you're using that you use. Um, I would say body weight stuff. If it was a kid, I would say body weight
Mhm.
and balance. That's it. Don't do any of the goofy marathon practices where you're trying to.
Short and sweet.
Yep, because kids probably anything after 45 minutes an hour, you lost them. You know,
As a teacher, I know that
that's so, right.
for a fact.
So if it's like that in the classroom, it's probably going to be like that on the mat. So
Mhm.
if it's a club and let's say they're gone Tuesday, Thursday, and they're gone for 2.5 hours, I'd probably shy away from that. You know,
Mhm.
per age group because some of them do 2.5 hours, but it's split in half. The younger kids go first, the older kids go second. Um, but no, that I would say that would be the three things:
Mhm.
short practice, balance, body weight exercises only.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, especially to start, um, if you're a 100 pounds wrestler, you're going to be wrestling somebody that's close to 100 pounds. So
Mm-hmm.
everything's body weight. Now, obviously, as you progress and get into high school, that would change. But I would say seventh grade is a good place. Anything before seventh grade
Mm-hmm.
is very basic. Once you hit the end of your seventh grade year, going into eighth grade, freshman, um, I would say there are things you could do that are a little more advanced,
Mm-hmm.
but it would definitely keep more longevity
Yeah.
in the wrestler.
Let me um let me answer the question.
Okay.
Um, so my thoughts on the same questions. First off, cutting weights, saunas, and all that stuff. I agree with you 100%. Seventh grade and before, definitely don't do that. But my reasoning for it is different, actually. Um, I've always been like this, or at least in youth, I was always the smallest wrestler in the weight class. I was always the tiny one.
All right.
So wrestling the guys that were bigger than me, I got really good and not trying to muscle things. Everything was positioning. I got stronger because of it. I would say it benefited me more wrestling the guys who are slightly bigger than me than cutting down wrestling guys slightly smaller. Does it make sense?
Strategy. Yes.
Yeah, so
I get
like
it.
in
I get it.
essence, you're kind of like I almost want to say you're putting like a handicap on your kids wrestling, but it's to make them better in the long run.
Gotcha.
And
That
then
that makes sense.
that's my logic behind it.
Okay.
Not to mention, yeah, you're gonna burn your kid out real quick. He's not gonna want to wrestle in college, and if he does, he's gonna hate it.
Right.
That's for cutting weight. Dieting, yeah, definitely just cut out the sweets. Keep
Right.
Eat like a normal, healthy person when you're younger, and you'll be fine.
Right.
As far as the workouts go, again, I don't like little kids bench pressing
Right.
for reps or for 1 rep max.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my rationale again is different. I think muscle memory has a big part to play in wrestling,
Right.
obviously. But when people lift a lot, especially when they're younger, their muscle memory is like ingrained to like lift a certain way to accomplish a certain goal. So for instance, if I want to pick something up, like if I want to do squats or something like that, a Romanian deadlift, my
Right.
body just naturally remembers that I got to be stiff and everything has to be in a certain way.
Right.
So in essence, yeah, it's the most powerful way to lift, but you're not very flexible. You're not moving around. Your body, anytime you wrestle and you get in that same position, that same concept,
Right.
your body's gonna naturally wanna form to that Romanian deadlift or whatever, whatever form you're using for that lift.
Sure.
So instead of being a flowing wrestler using positioning and stuff like that, you're just gonna be using your strength.
Right.
And that's where you get those wrestlers who are really stiff. If you notice, the wrestlers who are really stiff are always the ones that put up a lot of weight and work out
Gotcha.
in a gym. You can have a lot of wrestlers who are moving around doing like body weight exercises. You can have a ripped wrestler who just flows and is naturally funky in all kinds of body position and balance.
Right.
But he's usually not the one who's been bench pressing since he was in the first grade.
Right. Never even thought of it in that. But there's a sort of a parallel I can give you. In cycling, there are some that swear that you should lift weights in the
Mm-hmm.
off season. Just the abbreviated version. When you pedal a bike, it's a concentric movement, meaning all the muscles in the leg are engaged at one time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the way I explained it is, say your average training ride is 2.5 hours, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about lifting weights to get strong and be a stronger rider.
Okay.
Show me an amount of weight that you can lift for 2.5 hours straight. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
So, like, so what I tell people is, like, for maybe a month or 6 weeks in the off season to lift weights because it's good for the tendons and connective tissue and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste your time after that. If you want to be faster on a bike and build more power, ride the bike. Because
Crazy.
because again, the muscle memory. If you hear people talking about, he's in good form on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Your legs have a lot of snap. And at the beginning of the season, when you like this time of year when you first started riding, you'll hear people use the term, it feels like I'm pedaling in squares because your legs aren't used to that circular movement.
Mm-hmm.
But that there is a lot to be said for strength, muscle memory, and fluid movement.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I can see that. Um, and when you think about wrestling and how it's not a one-dimensional
Yeah, a lot of
movement.
times the strongest way to lift something is not the best way.
Right.
If you're on a leg and you post up with your leg to stand up, he's going to pick out your ankle and you're going to fall on your butt.
Right.
If you have a single leg and you're trying to do the most powerful squat, is not the best position. Yeah, you're sacrificing raw power, raw strength,
Right.
but in that you're making it easier on yourself with positioning, with movement, with
Right.
counter, whatever.
Good balance.
Yes.
Like, just gave me a little flashback. Flashback. Do you remember the sectional tournament? It would have been your sophomore year.
No.
Sophomore, junior year.
Was that the one I wrestled DiCamillo?
No. Timchenko.
Oh,
And he had a deep.
he was.
He had he had this ungodly looking body for a kid in high school.
Dude, he was like, I'm not joking when I say this. For those of you guys who don't know him, I saw him as Ivan Drago from Rocky. He's a foreign kid, thick accent, looks mean,
and
just like I want to break you.
right, and he was just ripped. He was a big
Yeah,
big kid, and he got a single on you
yeah.
in the second
He
period,
got it a couple times.
and you were on one foot for the whole period, and he never finished the single leg.
He got tired. First period. It was first period, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First period, he shoots in on my leg. He's too strong for me to stop, but he can't finish it. So for a good 2 minutes, he's using his entire forearms, his everything in his arms to keep my leg up, to keep my weight. He's keeping my weight up. So using all that strength for so long, he tires out. And I ended up, I think I almost pinned him in overtime.
You did. That it went to overtime, and you put him on his back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it ended.
Yeah, but by overtime, he was burnt. He did not have anything left in the tank.
Right. But again, that would be the balance. If somebody, and you know what, the pictures at work.
Yeah.
That would be a good picture to show. He had a single that 99% of the time you see somebody hit a single like that, they're finishing.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't.
I'd say that's one of my strengths. I tell everyone in the room at practice, especially freshmen, I'll be like, the hard part is not shooting in on my leg. I'll let you have my leg any day of the week. You got to finish it, though. That's where it gets difficult.
Right.
So you got to actually score. I'll let you have it. I mean, you'll get tired before me.
Right. But that was another good series of matches was with George DiCamillo. George was one of those. He was a lot like you as far as being stingy.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-0 matches.
Yeah, he was number one in the country in my weight.
Right. And
every time I lost because I couldn't hold him down and he could get away.
Right. And that's
how I lost.
1 point.
1 point. He couldn't take me down. I couldn't take him down. But he could hold me down. I couldn't hold him.
And that's
another reason why people think I'd be good at freestyle.
Right. Well, I don't know. Well, that'd have been your sophomore year. It was up at Walsh College. The
Ironman.
No. The freestyle tournament you did with Jeff Coleman.
Universities?
Was that up at Walsh? You did the freestyle club down in
the club
Minerva.
Yeah, I remember the club. It was we went there I forget how long that was. But I remember it.
But
the room was hot.
Well,
the room was like 90 degrees. I was not used to that.
And the match that you did up at it was at Walsh, the tournament, and you hit the 5-point. The heels went over the head.
You sure that was at Walsh?
I'm almost positive it was at Walsh. I can't remember. But Jeff Coleman, he was the freestyle coach.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit that throw. And I remember even myself, because I'm used to watching folk style wrestling. I mean, when you launch a kid like that, instantly you're like, okay, he's going to hurt him. He's going to get disqualified. But in freestyle, man,
The
you could
higher you throw, the more points you get.
get right. So that's a different type of
Yeah, suplexed him. That was a beautiful one.
yeah. It was a good
No one got it on tape.
no.
No one got it on tape. That's what I'm sad about. It was the only ever
It was
throw I've ever hit.
right, but it was a good one.
Yeah,
It was a good one. So
one and done.
yeah. Uh, so we've covered youth, uh, junior high, and high school and college, coaching. If there was one sport that you could play
Pole vault.
other than wrestling,
Pole vault.
pole vault,
And I'm not alone in this. I thought I was a weirdo because I pole vaulted in high school and I loved it.
right,
I thought I was just a weirdo.
right,
Now, a lot of wrestlers, like I've talked to, liked pole vault. They did it in high school. I don't know what it is, but the sport is not very stressful for one. You get like 3 attempts to jump over a bar
right,
versus you get one chance to not get pinned, you know?
right,
It's very relaxed, and the practices are super relaxed.
right.
I remember I fell asleep at one practice. One of our other pole vaulters, Lane, he was also a wrestler. He was working in the pits. He was doing like practicing his form, so that means we couldn't do anything.
Right.
So we were sitting on that crash pad.
Yep.
We were just sitting there. It was a nice warm day. It was nice and sunny. Sat there, just took a nap.
Yep. Took a nap.
It was a fun sport, and there's nothing better feeling than like getting over that bar.
Right.
And then like the couple seconds that you're falling, it's just like, I don't know, exhilarating that you're falling like a roller coaster.
Free falling.
And, yeah. And then you land in like the softest pillow that you can think of. So pole vault's definitely.
Versus getting slammed on a
Yeah.
mat.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the contrast. Well, now you have, I think you only have eligibility in college for a certain period of time,
5 years.
5 years.
Well, you got 4 years to compete, and you have to do it in 5 years.
Right.
That's on D1 rules. D2, you have 4 years compete, 5 years of scholarship, or 5 years in school, I should say, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take a break from school, the clock stops.
Right.
In D1, as soon as you go to college that first day, the clock starts, and 5 years from then, you're done D1. And D2, if you start, stop, you're okay, as long as those time periods weren't adding up to over 5 years.
Gotcha. Well, that would be. Are there people that go to college for pole vaulting, like on scholarship?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just like any other sport. And, like, those people will get ridiculously high. They get, like, 14 feet up in the air with, like, an 8-foot-long pole.
I don't know that.
You ever watch the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of heights, so that's why, like, maybe because I would have control over it, it wouldn't be that bad. But there's something about that, and you're kind of upside down for a while.
Yeah.
So that would kind of, it would take me a while to get used to. So anyway, that's all I have. I'm going to open up the phone line if anybody wishes to call in. If not, move this a little bit. We should probably make plans to do this again. This, I think, there's a couple different ways that I'm sort of moving around with the live show, and especially as you move through coaching, it would probably be a good idea to do this once in a while. Just not just for me. I mean, I can call you anytime I want to, but I mean, as far as putting the information out and what's going on in the wrestling world. D1's this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like at 125?
Tomasello, but he's not in the finals.
Right.
My man Tomasello, he took an early out. So I want Spencer Lee to win because he beat Tomasello.
He's from Iowa State. One of them.
Yes, one of the Iowas.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. The phone's not ringing, so we're going to end it on a bright note with the trophies in the front. Ivan McClay sitting over there, and we're going to do it again.
All right, for sure.
So until next time, stay sharp, keep a tight shot group, and rock on.